Hello, my name is Ann Kent. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and the owner of Peas and Hoppiness. Today we're gonna do something a little bit different, and I actually have a meal to show you how to prepare. We're gonna make a 1 skillet fried rice. You're not gonna see me most of the video. I'm gonna pop you in here and you are going to watch how this is done. So you get a little bird's eye view, and please excuse my bare feet because I like to cook in bare feet. So we are using a recipe for vegetable fried rice. The first thing that's going on is my cast iron skillet is heating. I don't have a wok, and I don't like buying dishes specifically for one thing. So I like to cook in a cast iron skillet because I can heat it really, really hot, and it's gonna work really well to make this fried rice. Fried rice is made at a super hot temperature. So the pan has been heating up, the oil's already gonna go ahead and be hot. So I prepared all my veggies already. I'm gonna go ahead and start cooking the onion, and I didn't have time to mince onion, so I'm actually gonna use a pre-minced onion, or garlic, excuse me. This is a really great thing to keep on hand for if you're not feeling like mincing your garlic, or if you just need something quick. Because this is cooked, the minced garlic is going to be great. I do like to use fresh if I'm doing something like a dressing, something that's you're gonna notice the flavor a little bit more, but you are gonna notice this is starting to sizzle. So again, I am cooking this at really high heat. Doing that in a cast iron skillet because it can handle the heat. You definitely don't want to make this kind of a recipe in anything with Teflon because it will get too hot, and that Teflon is not good under the heat. So normally I recommend to prep all of the vegetables. You can see I've got some different veggies here all ready to go, but I wanted to show you how to mince some ginger. So this ginger, it has been in my fridge a little bit, and so you can see it's starting to dehydrate, but it's still fine to use. You actually don't need to peel the ginger. If you can, or if you're worried about it, you can literally break off a piece. And then to peel it, it's super easy. You can actually even just use a spoon and pull off that papery skin. So I'm not actually gonna worry about peeling it. I'm just gonna go ahead and mince this. So I'm gonna trim some of the ends off there, and then I'm just gonna cut it into slices as thinly as possible. And then those slices I'll stack, and I cut into long, thin matchsticks. And then I turn those matchsticks and I mince finely. So unlike garlic and onion, which can hold up the heat, ginger is a little bit more delicate, and so you don't want to add this at the same time as the onion and garlic. It's better to just heat it until you start to notice that it became fragrant. You want to cook this dish also in an oil that can withstand high heat. So olive oil is what I typically like to use, but because of the flavor, I'm actually using canola oil in this recipe. You could also use peanut oil for a more authentic flavor, but I don't have peanut oil, so I'm going to use coconut oil. Again, I don't like frying things for only one purpose. So yeah, we're gonna do this really high heat. So this cooks really, really fast. Once you get started with this recipe, it does come together. So normally I recommend to prep the vegetables while you're cooking to save time. But with this recipe, I do not recommend to do that. So normally also, this is a really good recipe to use up leftovers. So I have leftover rice. You can make rice fresh day of, but leftover rice actually works better for this recipe because it's a little bit more dehydrated, so it crumbles a little bit better. In addition, I have some extra chicken that I'm going to put in here, but the main protein for this dish is eggs, and so we'll cook those right after we finish with this onion. I am following a recipe on the meal guide, so if you'd like some samples of this, one of the things that I like to do with the recipes on the meal guides is to really speak to technique, so that if you are new in the kitchen, you can feel really comfortable using a lot of different styles of cooking. You can get to know how to make different vegetables and how to make them taste even better. So the step that we're on, we are sauteing the onion and garlic, and then we're actually going to move the onion and garlic aside and crack the eggs directly into the wok, or in this case, our cast iron skillet. We're going to cook those. We need to cook the ginger first though, don't we? Okay, ginger goes in after the eggs. So once this has started to brown a little bit, I am gonna just move those aside. We still have plenty of oil, but this is a recipe that you'd wanna continue to add oil anytime it became a little bit dry. So don't be afraid of adding more oil. The recipe actually calls for 8 eggs, which I know seems like a lot, but if that's gonna be the main protein, then you do wanna add quite a few. Again, this is really nice. Normally I would not have put all of my veggies in separate dishes, but it looks really pretty on camera, doesn't it? So as you can see, I don't have to mix these eggs up in a separate dish, and so I'm not gonna get any extra dishes dirty. Now I know this seems like a lot of eggs, but this is gonna give this dish really good protein, and it's gonna be a vegetarian option. So again, I don't know if I'm gonna do the leftover chicken because this is so good by itself, but you could also throw in shrimp at this point, or pork. I really like these types of recipes because you can do a variety based on whatever you have available in your kitchen. So we're gonna just stir up those eggs a little bit. I'm just gonna break them up here. And I have this going at the highest heat, and you can see that it's not really cooking too fast. The really nice thing about this high heat is that it gives the vegetables really good flavor without overcooking them so that they're not mushy. But you do have to keep an eye on this. And that's why I definitely recommend to prep all those vegetables before you get started with this. So this recipe actually was, I was taught this by my friend Craig, and one of the funny stories about this recipe is that this fried rice and other dishes like this are so flexible that you can really use whatever you have on hand. So when I was trying to get him to tell me the recipe, he had such a hard time telling me what kinds of vegetables should go into it because he kept saying you can just use whatever you have in your fridge. Well, that's not how you write a recipe, right? So, but the truth is that I do have a recipe for this, but I'm actually substituting some zucchini in place of the water chestnuts because I had them in my CSA box and I wanted to use them. So this is a super flexible recipe. You can use, even if you have leftover vegetables, you could put this in a fried rice. Fried rice is one of those dishes that is actually a leftover dish. And so it's designed to use up that day-old rice, the vegetables that you need to get rid of, anything that's just about ready to go. So it's helpful to not waste, and it's also helpful if you are, again, trying to reduce your food waste, but also maybe you're not able to get to the store and buy a specific ingredient. You can whip this up with literally whatever you have on hand. So those eggs are starting to cook now. I'm gonna go ahead and scoot those over to the side, and I can see it's getting just a little bit more dry, so I'm gonna add a little bit more oil here. Keep everything nice and moist. And then we're gonna add this minced ginger. And again, this is where we don't want to overcook it because ginger is very delicate, but we're just gonna let it mince a little, or cook a little bit. There is minced ginger in the store as well, but fresh is usually better. If you have extra ginger and you just wanna mince a bunch, then you can also freeze it in ice cube trays in a little bit of oil and then make your own homemade ginger cubes, and that is super handy. Okay. Things are cooking nicely. I can start to smell the ginger. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of my vegetables. These I've cut very, very thinly. The thinner the better with this because we are cooking it really hot for a very short amount of time. So there go the carrots and zucchini and some celery. I'm actually gonna go ahead and dice this pepper. This is another random vegetable that I had in my cupboard that I need to get rid of. Ooh, and it's looking just a little bit dry, so I'm gonna add a little bit more oil. Other vegetables you could use, we have peppers, the zucchini, we have celery in there. You could use water chestnuts, which are canned, or bamboo shoots. Those would also be really good. You could do zucchini, yellow squash, other types of squash. I would not do winter squash or potatoes or anything starchy. The non-starchy vegetables are going to be better in this recipe. So I'm just cutting out these seeds because I don't know how spicy this pepper is. This might end up giving it a little bit of a kick, which is okay. It's super fun to have these CSA baskets because you kind of get a random assortment. All right, so peppers go in. This CSA box was from Miller Farms, and I'm thinking of doing an unboxing. So if anybody is interested in seeing my CSA on Thursday, we can do that together. Okay. Another really easy, flexible one-dish meal is just a stir-fry vegetable. You can, again, use all different kinds of protein and whatever vegetables you have in your fridge. So I know, whoops, this guy did not get cut. Let me cut him again. I need to get my knives sharpened, guys. Can you tell? All right. Okay, this doesn't even have any rice in it, and look how full this pan is. One of the things that I really love about cooking these sorts of dishes at home is that you can control what's in them, and so you can control your ratio of protein, carb, veggie. Of course, I love to add lots of vegetables, but if you're craving fried rice and just not wanting all the starch and wanting it to be a little bit more nutritious, this is a great way to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my fried rice at this point, or my white rice. Again, this is day old. There's about 3 cups in here. You can certainly add more or less depending on what you have, or you can make your own right before starting this recipe. So you will notice that there's gonna be less rice in here than you would get from a Chinese restaurant. And you know, that's because of all of the things in here, the rice is the least expensive, and so it's a really good filler. But again, if you're gonna have this for your main dish, then you probably want it to be a little bit more balanced. So I'm gonna add a little bit more oil. And now we get to add the fun stuff. So we're gonna season this. The original recipe on the meal guides just calls for soy sauce, rice vinegar, and a little bit of sugar. But the secret ingredient to really delicious fried rice is fish sauce. If you haven't tried it, it has a very, very umami flavor. It's very meaty, kind of mushroomy. It's a very savory flavor. It's not just salty like soy sauce is, and so it gives it definitely a unique, interesting flavor. Another thing I'll just note again, I've had this on high the entire time, and I'm just watching it really closely, continuing to stir. So we need about 2 tablespoons of sugar, which is what this is, and then we'll do about 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. So 2 tablespoons is 1/8 of a cup, 3 tablespoons is just a little bit more. And then rice vinegar. Rice vinegar, we're doing 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Again, just about 1/8 of a cup. There are 16 tablespoons in a cup, just for reference. It is helpful to know some of those conversions when you're cooking. Now this is the part where I recommend to taste and see what you think of your dish and adjust those flavors as necessary. So if it's not flavorful enough, add a little bit more soy sauce or try a little bit of that fish sauce. You can find that in the Asian section of the grocery store. I was scared of it for a very long time, and now that I've tried it, I am a convert. It's so good. I put it on all of our Asian dishes. So I know this is backwards, but it's just a premium fish sauce. It's literally just anchovies, sea salt, water, and sugar. So it doesn't take a ton, but you can kind of flavor this as you want. The rice vinegar gives it a little bit of a kick, and that's how we kept this a vegetarian dish. But if you're not super strict vegetarian and want to add a little bit more flavor, this is a great way to do it. Okay, we're starting to see some lovely browning, and this smells amazing. I wish you could be here and come over for dinner. I love sharing food. But as you can see, it's a really good balance of some carbs with that white rice. The protein, it's hard to imagine that we have 8 eggs in here. It really does not overwhelm the dish. And then we have lots of good veggies. We could even probably do more vegetables. I might do that next time. They don't seem to be overwhelming the dish either. So now you can just cook this as long as you would like until it's as brown as you would like, and then serve it. This also makes really good day-old leftovers. If you want that crispiness again of the fried rice, I would throw it back in the skillet. Otherwise, you can certainly just warm it up in the microwave. So pretty simple. Again, you can substitute lots of different kinds of vegetables in this. Using day-old rice is great. I also like to use the rice, if you have extra from a Chinese restaurant or Thai restaurant that you have, you can use that white rice too. So you can also definitely substitute brown rice if you're just looking for something a little bit healthier. But I think white rice makes the dish really taste good, and you're getting tons of nutrition from the vegetables. So thanks everybody for watching. If you want to see other ideas of one-pan meals, then let me know, or if there's anything in particular that you'd like to see a demonstration, drop a comment. I would love to hear from you. So I'll leave a link if anybody is interested in a couple weeks of easy, simple recipes that really go through the technique and show you how to create some balanced meals. I'll leave a link for a 2-week free trial of the Peas Hoppy Meal Guides. So hope you guys are doing well, hope you're staying sane and taking good care of yourself right now. Love you all, and I will see you next week. Bye.